It's 4:59 a.m. The alarm buzzes in a quiet, dark room. Outside, the world is still asleep. But inside one small apartment, something is about to change forever. He lies there, staring at the ceiling, fighting the voice that whispers, "You can start tomorrow." But today, he doesn't listen to that voice. He gets up, not because he feels like it, but because he's tired of feeling the same. Every morning before this one was the same story, the same excuses, the same regret. He had dreams, big ones, but dreams don't survive without discipline. So he made a choice to stop negotiating with his mind and start commanding it. He steps outside. The air is cold. The streets are empty. There's no applause, no music, just silence. And that silence is where most people quit. But not him. Not today. He begins to run. His legs are heavy. His lungs burn. Each step is a reminder of how far he's fallen, but also how much further he can rise. He's not running from his past anymore. He's running toward his future. This is the 5 a.m. decision. Discipline is quiet. It's not flashy, not exciting, and no one will clap for you when you start. But the world eventually moves for those who move early. Because when you wake up before the world, you earn something money can't buy: momentum. Most people don't understand it. They say, it's just a morning. But no, it's a message to yourself that your goals matter more than your comfort. It's proof that you're no longer a prisoner of your excuses. He returns home drenched in sweat. The clock reads 6:01 a.m. The world is still asleep, but his heart is awake. For the first time in years, he feels alive. He looks in the mirror, not for progress, but for proof that he kept a promise to himself. That's where confidence is born, not from success, but from self-respect. And that morning, he earned both. It's not about waking up early. It's about waking up to your potential. The 5 a.m. decision isn't about time. It's about transformation. Because if you can control your morning, you can control your life. The next morning, his alarm rings again. Same time, same sound, same silence. But this time, something's different. He doesn't fight the voice in his head anymore, he simply moves. Because when you show up once, it's effort. But when you show up again, it becomes identity. Every great transformation begins in silence. Not when the world believes in you, but when only you do. Each morning he runs, not to chase success, but to escape the person he refuses to be again. Lazy, undisciplined, afraid of failure. Those versions of him die with every sunrise. He starts journaling after every run, not about what he did, but how it felt to keep a promise. Small wins, he writes, are still wins. That's the truth people forget. Consistency beats intensity. But discipline has a price. Friends begin to drift away. They call him obsessed, boring, too focused. And maybe they're right. But what they don't see is the version of himself that's being reborn in those quiet hours. There are days when his body aches, when his motivation fades, when the world feels heavy. He thinks about quitting more than once. But then he remembers that the pain of discipline is temporary, while the pain of regret lasts forever. So he keeps going. One morning it rains. The streets are soaked, the wind is cold, and everything inside him says, "Stay home." But he laces up his shoes anyway. He runs through puddles, soaked to the bone, gasping for air. And in that moment, He realizes this isn't about running anymore. It's about proving that no storm outside can defeat the calm he's built inside. When he returns home, dripping wet, something changes in his eyes. He no longer sees himself as someone trying to change. He sees someone who already has. And that shift changes everything. Days turn into weeks. The habit becomes a rhythm. He starts eating better, thinking clearer, and working harder. The small victories stack up quietly, but powerfully, because growth doesn't scream, it whispers. He begins applying that same discipline to everything, to his work, his relationships, his mindset. He realizes that discipline in one area of life unlocks potential in every other. One evening, someone asks him, "Why do you do this? Why wake up so early?" He smiles and says, "Because 5 a.m. taught me that success isn't a feeling, it's a choice, and I choose it every day." Every morning since that first one, he's learned something new. That willpower is a muscle and discipline is the gym. That success is not found in motivation, but in momentum. And that one small promise kept daily can rewrite your entire story. It's not easy. It's never easy. But every person who ever achieved something great started exactly like him, alone, tired, uncertain, until their discipline became their superpower. As the days go by, people start to notice the change, not because he tells them, but because it radiates from him. The same people who once doubted him start asking for advice. That's the beauty of transformation. It inspires silently. He now wakes up without an alarm. The discipline has become instinct. He no longer runs to escape his old self. He runs to meet his new one. And this is what the 5 a.m. decision truly means. It's not a time on a clock. It's a signal that you're done waiting for life to change you and ready to change your life. And as the sun rises once again, he smiles, because he knows this is just the beginning. The mornings came and went, days blurred into months, and soon, the man who once struggled to wake up at dawn became the man others looked up to. He never realized when discipline turned from effort to identity, from identity to legacy. One quiet morning, he stood before the mirror. The reflection, looking back, wasn't tired anymore. It was focused, calm, alive. He whispered softly, "I kept my promise." And for the first time in years, he believed it. That's the thing about change. It doesn't announce itself. It happens slowly, one quiet choice at a time, until one day, the life you dreamed of isn't a dream anymore. It's your reality. He started mentoring younger people at work, not through lectures or speeches, but through example. They'd ask, "What's your secret?" And he'd simply reply, "Consistency, even when no one's watching." Because discipline is not loud. It doesn't post. It doesn't boast. It's quiet, patient, ruthless with excuses. And that's why it wins. There were still tough days, days when he questioned everything, when his body wanted rest and his mind wanted comfort. But he had learned something that comfort could never teach. Growth lives in discomfort. One day, his old friend called him after years. "You changed, man," he said. "You don't hang out like before. You don't party. You don't rest." He smiled and replied, "I still rest, but now I rest proud, not guilty." He realized that success isn't about money or fame or applause. It's about peace, the kind that comes when you keep your word to yourself. Every morning now carries a rhythm, the same alarm, the same stillness, the same promise. But the man is different. He's not chasing something anymore. He's living it. He understands now that motivation fades, but systems sustain, that habits create identity, and identity creates destiny. Because what you do daily defines who you become eternally. One morning, his young son walks into the room, rubbing his sleepy eyes. He looks up and asks, "Dad, why do you wake up so early every day?" He kneels, smiles, and says, "Because every sunrise is another chance to prove to myself that I'm stronger than yesterday." His son nods. He doesn't fully understand yet, but one day he will, because lessons taught by example never fade. They echo across generations. Years later, that same boy would grow into a man, and one morning at 5 a.m., his alarm would ring. He'd smile, remembering his father's words, and whisper, "It's my turn." That's how legacies are built, not through speeches, but through cycles of action. People think success is a moment, but it's not. It's the collection of invisible mornings that no one applauds you for. The quiet sacrifices, the early starts, the late nights. That's where greatness hides. He often looks back now, not with regret, but with gratitude. Because every failure, every doubt, every lonely morning led him here. To a life built not on luck, but on discipline. He finally understands. The 5 a.m. decision was never about waking up early. It was about waking up to himself, to who he could be, to who he was meant to be. And as he watches the sunrise, the world still asleep, he smiles, because he knows that somewhere out there, someone else just made their 5 a.m. decision too. This isn't just his story. It's yours, mine, ours. Because every one of us has a version of 5 a.m., a moment to decide whether to keep dreaming or start doing. So tomorrow, when that alarm rings, remember him. Remember what one decision can do, and make your own. This is how ordinary people become extraordinary, one decision at a time. This is the power of the 5 a.m. decision.